practices for troubleshooting. So the first thing here is to make sure you're getting the necessary information. If someone says, hey, I've got a problem with sugar, what are some of the things that you should be asking them at that point, to try to figure out how to resolve the problem yourself or to open a case with your partner or with sugar and get their support in solving the issue. One of the biggest things is, can the problem be replicated? Is it something that happens consistently? And if so, what are the steps in order to make that happen? What do I have to click, first, second, third, fourth in order to get this error to happen? Related to that, it's also really important to find out if this is something that's impacting only one person or something that's impacting all of your users or many of your users, because that can help determine, what types of steps would help troubleshoot this issue or fix the issue. Sometimes as a related corollary to that, if the problem can only be found by one user, try having that user log into Sugar from a different computer and see if the same thing happens. Is it tied to their user profile, or is it something that's to their computer and the settings on their computer that may be impacting the problem? Also really important to know, when did this issue start? And related to that question, are you aware of any changes that happened around the same time? So if someone starts having a problem Monday morning, and I know that over the weekend Sugar was updated, well, I can make a pretty educated guess that the issue might be related to the update. And it might not just be Sugar that's updated. Maybe it's something on the user's computer that updated. Maybe they got a new version of Chrome or Firefox that was installed, or a new version of Outlook that was installed, and now they're having an issue with the Outlook plugin. So think about the timing of when the issue popped up and what else may have been happening at the same time or just before that time. And then finally, Justin would hit me if I didn't remember to say something about this next bullet point here. Make sure that you're taking a screenshot of the entire screen. A lot of times we get people who send us screenshots of just the error message or just one small part of the screen, and it's really hard for us to get the context of where this error is happening. So if you screenshot the entire screen, that's going to be really helpful in terms of helping us to understand what's going on that might be contributing to that problem.
Some of the things you can try if you're running into issues is you can clear your browser cache. There are instructions for how to do that on the Sugar support portal, which we've linked to. But this will clear out cookies in your browser that may be affecting how Sugar's behaving. Things like your cookies will save some of your orders of your subpanels or things like that. Something else you can do that's not listed here is if you open up a user profile, you can reset that user's preferences, and that can clear out some settings that may be affecting how Sugar is performing. And sometimes the cache or the user preferences just get corrupt and they need to be reset in order to fix the issue. Before I go through those, I usually try an incognito or private browsing window. Chrome's very good at that. And that lets you launch your browser without a cache so that you can test essentially from a fresh browser instance. And again, as Megan mentioned, if you're having that issue on one computer, try it on a different computer or try it on a completely different browser. If you normally use Internet Explorer, try Firefox. If you normally use Firefox, try Chrome or all three and see if you're getting the same issue each time. And also remember to take a screenshot because we all know as soon as you call someone over for help, the error is going to go away, but with a screenshot you have proof there was a problem.
Something else to be aware of and to include if you're going to open a ticket with an issue is to look at versions. So make sure that the user is using a supported browser version. You can find the supported browser versions on Sugar's supported platforms matrix on Sugar Support's website. Make sure that if you're having an issue with the Outlook plugin, you're using the latest version of the Outlook plugin. Sugar does pretty frequent releases for the Outlook plugin with bug fixes and things like that, new features. And a lot of times someone's using an Outlook plugin version that's a year or even old already. So that's going to be the first thing that we're going to tell you to do when you open a case with us is to upgrade to the latest version of the Outlook plugin, and you can preemptively solve a lot of issues by trying that first. Same thing if you were having issues with the mobile app. We actually very rarely get support cases about mobile app, but Same thing there. If you don't have your phone set to automatically update your apps, if you have an issue with the app, that's the first thing I would check is make sure that you're on the latest version of it.
For those of you who are a little more technical, there's a couple of things you can try. The simplest thing to do, and is often suggested, is to open up the admin section, go to repairs, and then at the very top of that list there's something called a quick repair and rebuild, which will kind of reset the sugar cache on the web server and just make sure everything's rebuilt the way it should be. So that's kind of always a good first step when troubleshooting. If you want to get into the sugar log, you can see that by going to Admin System Settings, View Log at the very bottom of that screen. And that can show you any errors, failed SQL statements, code that's gone wrong. And I think Sugar Cloud is planning on providing even more access to logs. I'm unsure if that means things like the PHP or web server logs, but that would be nice as well. In addition, if you're using Chrome or Firefox, they have developer tools that are built in. If you right-click on anything within Sugar, you can click on Inspect Element, and that'll bring up some different tabs in a new window. And you can choose the console or the network tabs. Everything Sugar does is just a call to Sugar's REST API, so you can see what the calls are, what Sugar's response is, and whether there's any errors that are calling out. And oftentimes, even if you don't know what that error says, but if you see a bright red message and can copy and paste that to a support person or even take a big screenshot of that along with your window, that will go a long way in helping to troubleshoot an issue.
And then finally, if you have not been able to resolve the issue yourself and you are going to open a support ticket with technology advisors or Sugar or another partner, make sure you're sharing all of this information with them. So you've taken the time to hopefully collect all this information to try some of these basic troubleshooting steps. You want to let them know the same information that you already have and the steps that you've already tried. So make sure you're including information like whether or not this is impacting one person or multiple users, what steps they should take if they're able to log in and try to replicate the issue. A lot of times we have to track down, is this something that's unique to your Sugar instance, or is it something that I can do in any Sugar instance that is just a general Sugar defect? And so having exact steps to follow can be really helpful for that. Make sure you're including version details if it's appropriate, especially again if it's something like the Outlook plugin or mobile app or a different plugin. What version of that plugin are you currently using? And tell us what steps you've already taken. If you've already tried clearing the browser cache, save everyone the aggravation of getting an email back telling you to clear the browser cache by saying, by the way, we've already tried this and it hasn't solved the problem. And then finally, to make Justin happy again, make sure if you're taking a screenshot of the error messages, don't just include the error message itself. Screenshot the entire screen so that we can see all of the details.